how are you, my friend?
Fabulous.
I have exciting. Well, it might not be super exciting for you, although you are wearing yet another amazing shirt. For the first time in 133 days, I had dry clean just show up at my house moments before this interview. So I have.
Wow. I
So
mean, and I'm sure there was a moment in this whole deal where you're like, I don't even need these shirts.
oh, I mean, early on it was, and then you'd start showing up on camera
Yeah.
more and more and more, and you're like, how
Yeah.
many times can I wear this before
Yeah,
anyone
right.
notices?
I mean, there was a moment I walked into my closet and I'm like, what was I doing? Because I had all these clothes. And I'm like, what is
Yeah,
that about? Get a real life,
yeah, for
about this.
sure, dude, for sure. How was your weekend?
Weekend was great because the temperature backed off a little bit. I could get out there and get some good hiking in. So, I had a 10-mile day, a 10-mile day, and a 9-mile day, and whenever that happens, I come back to work a lot smarter.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure. So one of the things I want to ask you about is we talked a couple weeks back about my trip to the Southerner down by you.
Yeah,
And on my way to the Southerner, my wife and I both commented that there was this very new looking version of a Biggby store. And I
yeah,
kind of wanted to I wanted to hear about what was so essentially, if you have not seen one before, it's very modular and looks sort of like a storage bin that you would see on like a ship, right? Like
yeah. Right. Sea container.
a
Yeah,
sea container, exactly.
yeah,
And so I want to know, A, where did that come from, and B, sort of what is it for, and how has it been working, right? Because
yeah.
there's no seating; it's obviously just drive-through only,
That's right.
But walk me through that.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, the genesis of it was actually my business partner, Mike McFall, and I were in Indonesia, and we were looking at some cafes. I have dogs. And we were looking at some cafes there, and there was literally folks that were taking sea containers and turning them into cafes. And we're like, that's a really cool idea. Then we came back home from that, and we had a franchisee say, listen, I think I can build those. And I've already been working on plans. Now they're not made out of sea containers, but it's like one going long ways one way, one standing up as a sign. And basically this whole thing comes in three pieces, and it gets assembled in 48 hours, and then away you go, right? So you just need to order product in and bring your folks in.
Sure.
And I mean, it comes fully loaded with everything. I mean, equipment down to the sticker, for please wash your hands
Yep.
kind of thing. Well, COVID hit, lobbies shut down, drive-throughs stayed open, but the real superstar of COVID, of course, have been drive-throughs, and this is a drive-through only. And so, the way the public looks at these drive-through onlys, and we call these particular things B cubes, the way they look at B cubes is that they're just super safe. But we had opened a B cubed, I think it was in Ohio, about a week or two before the shutdown happened. And that store almost immediately went to the number 2 store in the system. I mean, it's
Oh,
just
wow.
unbelievable. So, these last many weeks, Biggby Coffee's been really blessed. We're very grateful. We've had 21% growth, 21% growth, 29% growth. And then this last week was 26% growth. And almost all of that is through drive-throughs. And these B cubes are drive-through only, and they've just turned out to be superstars.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
so, as if somebody's trying to, we talked last week about what type of person would open a Biggby franchise. How does somebody get greenlit to do this one versus a typical brick and mortar?
Yeah, in some ways, this one's almost easier.
Which was my thinking, right? Because you don't need as much
Yeah.
space, and
Normally you gotta go into that landscape of finding strip mall locations, in cap units, so you can have a drive-through, very competitive, very expensive, and so on and so forth. In this case, we have arrangements with folks like Myers, right? So Myers has these vast parking lots that get used less because of pickup and delivery and all this kind of thing. And so you can throw down a B cube in a Meyer parking lot. It only takes 8 spaces, right? And we've got some pre-arrangements with Myers, and we have some pre-arrangements with some other folks too. And so this idea of trying to find a piece of property is not quite as difficult. In many ways, Myers figured out the epicenter of the communities a long time ago, so you don't have to sort of figure that part out.
sure, yes,
And then
they've.
And then the other beauty is, you can go to a freeway exit, find a sliver of land that you otherwise can't build a typical quick service restaurant, because the footprint of this thing is, it's only like 400 square feet. Boom, you can lay that down on a piece of dirt also. So it's really remarkable. And then the last application is, Biggby does so well in small towns. As a matter of fact, we just sold another unit in Hudson, Michigan, and not to be confused with New Hudson, Michigan. But it's just a small town between Coldwater and Adrian, or maybe I don't have that quite right. No, Hillsdale and Adrian, right? It's just a little burg. But when Biggby opens up in these burgs, it's like, we become the epicenter of the community almost immediately. And these B cubes are just a really easy way to do that.
And so take me back a couple steps, because this is the stuff that I find fascinating. And so you and Mike are on a trip and you're seeing these sea containers turned into, at the same time, halfway across the world, there's a franchisee with a pencil and a notebook who's drawing this same thing in sort of like a Close Encounters mashed potato mountain sort of moment, right?
Totally.
And so how do you guys get to, how does that serendipity happen, and then how long until you guys are like figuring out who's going to build these, how big they're going to be, and then putting the first one down? Like, what does that whole thing look like?
Yeah, I mean, in this case, we really have to give a lot to the partner, Jeff Konchak, the franchisee. He's up in Alpena, super entrepreneurial kind of guy, and he can basically get anything done that he dreams up, right? But the way serendipity happens, or the way one knows to capitalize on opportunity, is when you already have a vision, right? So, what I would say is most people have opportunities crossing their pathway every day. They just don't know their opportunities, right? And the only time an opportunity is crossing your path is when you know the direction you're going, which is generally your vision, right? So we were thinking one way, Jeff was thinking another way, but most great ideas are the aggregation of two good half ideas, right? And these were two good half ideas, and then boom, it becomes a whole. And we've always been really lucky that way inside Biggby Coffee, in terms of finding these ideas and then finding the right partners to work with on them.
Very cool. So last question I want to leave you with is sort of, again, more in this business vein, because I want to get your perspective, as it feels like QSR, quick service restaurants, is still changing, right, as we're moving through this, and I want to get your sense, as somebody who obviously is iterating and thinking and changing all the time, from a consumer, like from my perspective and people who are watching this, how much will this space change in your estimation in the next 6 months? Because it feels like every day that we wake up, another giant franchise is making another leap into some technology because they know they have to now go in that direction, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so we ID'd this about 5 years ago, and that is that, we just basically need to break down the barriers of convenience, right? And convenience used to be defined by, hey, I need to put a physical location at Main and Main so the customer can get to me, right? But the barriers we're trying to reduce are, payment barriers, delivery barriers, meaning how do we get the product to you? And I think we've all been thinking outside the box and not sure the public was quite ready for it yet, right? So like, if we're on a Zoom, we're using Zoom right now. Zoom thought it would take about another 10 years to get about where it is right now. And they managed to do it in about 4 months. And so, circumstances can accelerate ideas. And in this case, I think everybody's had these things in their pocket, and they're not really sure that the current customer was ready for it. But hey, guess what? The current customer is ready for it. So let's get on it.
It's just a fascinating space to watch, because to me it's sort of been, and I know typically this analogy is used, or this construct is used in a negative sense, and I don't mean it like that.
Yeah.
But it very much feels like your industry as a whole has been the canary in the coal mine of innovation, as like QSR has been pedal to the metal since March, trying to figure this out faster than most, because as you said in, I think, episode 1 or 2, right, you guys were allowed to, and became an essential service to release some pressure on the grocery stores, which allowed for some space to innovate. And it doesn't seem like your industry has let up the gas at all in that regard.
No, can't. And any business worth its salt, You know, when things are getting tough, that's not a moment to pull back, right? That's a moment to lean in. And so you can really see the businesses that are leaning in and saying, you know, let's keep moving. And that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. As always, my friend, this is a pleasure. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And before you wave and let you go, I want to start something new with these as we're kind of moving through them. What's your Biggby drink of the week? If somebody needs to what's the thing they should be drinking this week? What's your vibe on that?
Caramel cold brew with sweet foam. I mean, that is the I think we might even be running out of it. And so, but I still encourage people to go and look for it. But I mean, we've just gone through so much of it. We can't believe it. So excited about it. The consumer just loves it.
All right, my friend. Have a great week. We'll talk next
Thanks.
week.
Bye.